Ellina Yin joins us, a community activist, and that's pretty much a pretty broad category. But first of all, great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me, Robert. Really excited to be here.
You are involved in a lot of different issues. We're going to talk about some of those, but to become a person that you are, sort of a civic educator and trying to get different community groups to get behind different issues and things like that, what brought you to kind of this point where you ended up doing what you do?
I would say that, I was raised by very, very smart, very hardworking parents. My mother was in tech, my father worked for the government, and our pastime was reading government documents and trying to understand the world around us. And so they raised us to be part of the community. And I would say the Cambodian community that settled in San Jose, I think they were very tight-knit, and today I think you would call it mutual aid. And so there was a lot of community volunteering and giving back. And so I am born in a bigger village in the city of San Jose. And so I want to give back. And I think growing up, trying to straddle both sides of, two worlds, speaking Khmer at home and English everywhere else, and interpreting those two worlds, I think that was kind of what set me up to be this interpreter of civic process and how we can all give back to our community and get more involved in local government.
That's interesting. What was the first issue that you remember sort of focusing on that not only you were interested in, but then also sparked sort of an interest in becoming sort of a community activist?
Yeah, I would say that was back in 2018 with the Google headquarters, and people were concerned about some of the prices going up, and people were showing up at city council meeting. And I remember seeing people chain themselves to the chairs and being really passionate about this topic. And after some research, I had found out that it actually happened a couple months ago in the Planning Commission. And from there, I was like, what is the Planning Commission? What is the Arts Commission? All of these boards and commissions, what do they do? And they turn out to be one of the few places where I think you work with elected officials, their staff, and you get to bring in experts and everyday residents, and we get to have a really robust discussion on very specific topics, whether it's parks or development. And then it kind of gets funneled to city council. But by the time it gets to city council, there's already been months of legwork. And so our goal at the Dreaming Collaborative is to get people in sooner so they can make more meaningful impact and be a part of shaping the solutions instead of just responding to them.
Yeah, starting the Dreaming Collaborative, it was sort of an interesting way of kind of building up an organization around what you want to do. One thing that's always interested me in following what you do is that you're an advocate for certain issues, but a big part of yours is just trying to get other people familiar with the process, familiar with the political system, familiar with how you bring about change. That seems to be a big part for you, is just educating the community to get involved versus just getting them to rally around a single issue.
Exactly. I would say that the first success I had was with the City Charter Review Commission, which I call like the Constitutional Convention of San Jose back in 2020. And I just participated in the peanut gallery, my 2 minutes at a time. And at the end of a year-long study, I got to be a part of Measure I, put it on the ballot, it passed. And so realizing the power of civically participating, even if you're just in the peanut gallery, that you can still make such an incredible difference. And ever since then, I've been trying to get more people involved. I was just at a City of Sunnyvale data center meeting, and we had students there at 7 p.m. We had students drive from Hayward, from San Francisco, just to hear what Sunnyvale is how they're approaching data centers. I thought that was incredible.
Yeah, this is actually, you have to kind of pick the issue too, right? You have to pick your battles to make sure that it's something that will resonate with people, not just in terms of getting them to do something, but to get them involved in that process, huh?
Yes. I would say the interesting thing about data centers is that it touches so many different agencies in local government. There's the city, there's the county eventually for public health, and then there's water agency, there's the water district, air district, and all of that is within our local branch of local government. And people are learning about it for the first time. I have a lot of people who are listening to our podcast or taking our civics masterclass, and they're showing up for their first city council meeting ever, and they're making public comment for the first time ever, and that just is pretty much the goal of everything, is to get people more involved.
You mentioned the podcast. Tell us a little bit about that and how people access it, or the best way to find it.
Yeah, so Only in San Jose is about how the city of San Jose works. It's available wherever you get your podcast. And we go into different boards and commissions, what is a city manager, how to read a budget. And then we have Only in Santa Clara County, which is how the county of Santa Clara works, and more on like the CEO and how their budgeting process works and how much taxes we actually get for city and county services, and all of that is to help people find their lane, whether it's climate, it's housing, whatever they're interested in. There's probably a board, commission, or policy committee that they can get involved in, and so we're helping to help people find the right path so that they can make a difference in their community.
You know, I've seen you at like the American Pacific Film Festival and various events like that where you've done some interviews, which isn't exactly community advocacy, you're community involved. What is the sort of your role in the community that, as you see it? I know that you're doing this civic engagement, civic education, but for you as an individual, how do you see your role not only now, but also how it's going to evolve?
Yeah, so I would say the Dreaming Collaborative, we work at the intersection of culture, arts and culture, technology, and civic life. And so by any means necessary, I'm always trying to connect back to local government. And so when I'm at the Silicon Valley Asian Pacific Film Festival, and art imitates life, and when I see certain films about, you know, mother-daughter or immigration, I was like, at the end of the day, that connects to policy. And art is the fastest way to people's hearts and to build understanding, and so I find it as a very powerful medium to get people more involved, whether you're watching a climate documentary or an immigration documentary, all of those things, the mycelium network of that process is policy and local government.
How about the AAPI community? Are they generally reluctant, or do you feel as though you're able to reach them on a certain level, and what is that level?
Completely the opposite of reluctant. So we did a project with the Santa Clara County AAPI Oral History where we interviewed our elders that were active during the Civil Rights Movement. And the things that I learned about some of our elders, you know, collaborating with the Black Panthers and what they did for the Civil Rights Movement was definitely missing from the textbooks when I was growing up, K through 12, and it brought home the idea that we're all in this together, and there's so many contributions from the AAPI community for that, for just our specific region, and the history is ongoing. That's also hosted at JAMS, the Japanese American Museum website, and so it's free, it's a curriculum, and it teaches about AAPI history and civil rights movement.
Very good. Community activist Ellina Yin with Dreaming Collaborative Inc., as well as Only in San Jose. Thank you for joining us. Think about joining and figuring out what organization that she's involved with works for you.
Thank you so
very
much.
much for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much.
All right.